All right, we're live.
All right.
All
Hello.
right. Well, we are back. This is Chris Frank Games, a video game podcast. It's very simple. And now it's a live streaming web show. So if you guys want to check out, we're going to go to YouTube. We went to Twitch last week, but apparently a lot of people don't go to Twitch to watch video game podcasts. Not a whole lot of luck. So we're going to try YouTube this week. And so usually we broadcast on Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 7 p.m. on the West Coast. So join us for a little interaction. But all right, so
And
again, this
9
is
Central Time. Don't forget about Central Time.
oh yeah, and then was it 9 over there?
Yeah.
9 p.m. Central. We had a couple technical
The
issues.
weird
We were a little late this week, but if you listen to the podcast, if you're traditional and oldie, probably don't care that much about any of this stuff, but my name is Chris Stotts, and I'm the Chris, and we got Frank White here as well. Frank, how's it going?
It's going good. I'm excited to show everybody the doughy white guy show here.
I figured there wasn't enough pale white guys on the internet with hair problems, so I figure why don't we add two more?
Yeah.
Frank, do you have any opinions on abortion? Go ahead, let us
I
at
do. I do have opinions about that.
No, this is a video game podcast. We don't need to get into that unless they make a game about an abortion.
Oh God.
Then
The
we're
new
all over
Surgeon
that, right?
Simulator update is going to be traumatic.
Yeah, abortion simulator. There's a surgeon simulator. I saw that on the Switch. I'm like, I might get that. The
It's
DLC
been around
pack.
for a while. Yeah. It's gonna tear the gaming community apart.
The DLC pack vacuum out the fetus DLC pack. Oh, okay.
Kermit Gosnell simulator.
All right. Well, if you also watch the show, we have a very fancy menu board with all the topics, so you can kind of know what's going on already. It's
What's on this?
weather.
I don't know.
You gotta be like a weather
Sign-
guy, Frank. It's on the other side. So very, very exciting. Very exciting stuff. All right. So as you can see, we got a lot of news to talk about. Actually, a lot came out. A lot of PlayStation news. Sony had their little day in the sun for the week. We'll talk about the PlayStation Classic and some other stuff. And Nintendo had the Direct last week. We're probably a little old to the news, but we'll go over all that stuff quite a bit. And then, as always, we'll be talking about the games we've been playing. And I'm sure Frank has still been playing Spider-Man. All right, correct? Can we tease it a little bit?
Well, I beat it, so
Okay.
I mean, yeah,
There we go. So, yes. Can't beat it without playing, I guess, right now.
yeah.
Can't be in it without playing.
So I haven't played it in the last couple of days, but
Okay, all right. So,
but
well,
I
you
still
got
have
some,
I still have
distance then.
opinions.
Got some distance. All right, but first, we're going to do the news. And kind of not really, I guess, a surprise, but just kind of a shock, I suppose. Sony, and this is like almost overnight, I think Wednesday night, I think I was actually taking a leak and I saw this on my phone or something like that. They announced a PlayStation Classic.
Mm.
So just
Of
like
course
an NES Classic, an SNES Classic, this is a PlayStation, a small PlayStation, in the original form factor from the 90s PSX. And it's going to come with 20 games? 20 games, right?
Yeah,
I believe 20 games. And we'll go over the ones they kind of mention. Two controllers, which is pretty cool. I mean, they're not selling separate controllers. Not the Dual Shock controllers.
yeah. It's the weird like early controller where it's the same housing, but it's got just the D-pad and buttons, and no analog sticks.
Yeah. A little disappointing, I guess, but I mean, I don't think you can expect Sony to put analog controllers.
Well, they can just can't you just dig those things up because they're just PS2 controllers essentially. Like I don't think there's any difference.
Yeah,
So it's got to be just like a warehouse full of them somewhere.
Yeah, maybe you can hook it up with like Bluetooth or something. But yeah, I don't know. So, but yeah, and because of that, games that require the the analog joysticks like Ape Escape, which I actually never played, but that will not be coming to the to the system. actually. So they only announced a couple games, some fairly big ones. So Final Fantasy VII, which I guess is pretty big, probably the most famous PlayStation game, but it's also been released for pretty much everything. So I don't know. Is
Well,
themselves?
we're still waiting on this mythical remaster or whatever that's supposed to be coming out that they announced like 3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So
don't tie you up.
you get to play a kind of an overwrought, shitty RPG with shitty controls. All right, okay, sign me up, I guess. Yes, trust me. I played Final Fantasy VII when it first came out, and I found myself not having fun by the 20th hour. So I just kept on playing so I could see the cinematic.
You doing where you're in the big elevator? I remember. It's been a long time. I played it on
I do
PC.
not remember that. I
I just remember being in a big elevator for a long time, just doing lots and lots of fights.
Yeah, just a bunch of bullshit. 90s bullshit. All right, Tekken 3. Which is probably the best 3D fighter on that. So maybe that whole gen, maybe for like console gen. I'm sure a version of Virtua Fighter for the arcade is probably better, but for like the console gen, I mean, there's nothing on Saturn that was like Tekken 3, right? I know our household was big Tekken fans. We had 1, 2, and 3, and yeah, 3. It was just amazing. I mean, because you got this bowling game and all these Final Fight type fight game. It was so much content. That was a great game, and I like what I'm glad they're not doing 1 and 2 on here as well. Why would you want to play 1 and 2 and you can play 3? Let's get pretty much everything.
Well, you gotta have Tekken 2 so you can reenact Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, I don't know. Does Tekken 3 have volleyball? I think 2 has volleyball, but 3, I don't know. Who knows? I don't know any of that stuff.
I never played a Tekken game until the PS2 era. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I'll ask you if this is something you may be interested because Frank, you never had a PlayStation, right?
No, but I have one now.
Okay.
So, cause they're not, that's the thing. They're not expensive. Like, this is gonna cost you more though, I mean, I guess games are a little pricey, getting used games these days. I mean, they're not that bad. They're not like Super Nintendo bad, but, it's really easy and cheap to get a system. Though I have to use a paperclip to get the disk drive to latch. Like I have to the little hook doesn't come back and I have to pull the hook out with a paper clip and then close it so that the lid will stay closed. And it takes a couple tries to start up games. But.
All right. So, again, we'll get to the price here in a second. But Jumping Flash, which is a first-person platformer, 3D platformer.
Yes, what? You're a first-person platformer. That sounds like a real
this is a good game, folks. I had a
treat.
friend have this game, and I played it briefly. I don't think it's a good game. Ridge Racer R-Type 4, I had this game. I didn't play it too much. Great graphics, but I like the original Ridge Racer, so I think they should have the original Ridge Racer on there. That's a classic game. And then Wild Arms, which I guess is a Shiny Entertainment game, but I never played that. So
that's kind of the shooting gallery ones.
Yep. So those are kind of the games that they announced. I mean, I don't know, Tekken 3, Ridge Racer Type 4. I mean, I guess that's pretty good. I mean, Frank, not putting you on the spot here, I'm going to ask you what games you'd like to see on there, but just a couple other details here. No AC adapter included. So it has a
what the bleepity blankety bleep is up with that?
It has a USB cable for the charging, and I guess they're just assuming you have an Apple phone or a Samsung Galaxy and have one of those chargers where they can put.
So it has a battery?
No, so it doesn't. It has a USB cable, but it doesn't have the part where you plug into a prong to plug into the wall. You have to use your Apple adapter.
Oh, okay. So you just, yeah.
They couldn't.
Whatever.
$2. They couldn't spring the $2 for that. Okay. All right. So again, 20 games, $99. I think we're pushing the envelope here on the price for these classic.
Yeah,
systems.
that seems about twice as much as it should be.
Yeah. Well,
these classic consoles, before Nintendo came along, and what was the NES Classic, 60?
It was 60, and then NES was 80. So this is
that's why they keep going up, because they, back in the day, before these things became popular, and it was just the flashback, the Genesis flashback, before they became classics. There used to be flashbacks, and those were all $50. at
Yeah.
most.
Well, I think Nintendo has shown you can charge a premium price, but also what I was thinking is that PlayStation was a third-party haven, right? So there probably aren't. I don't remember any great first-person. I mean, I'm sure there are,
Hmm.
not first-person, but first-party. So they probably have to pay a lot more for these licensing fees than Nintendo did for the NES and Super NES Classic. So keep that in mind as well. Um, so apparently there's going to be no like extra, download abilities or anything like that, but I'm sure it'll be hacked in due time and you can put stuff on there. So,
That also seems silly to me because it's like if you're gonna do that, why spend the $100 on the piece of plastic when for like $25 you can get a Raspberry Pi and put a bunch of ROMs on it.
well, again, this is just something you can grab at the store and give to someone. Or
Yeah,
just
but if
plug
you're
it
jailbreaking it, then just get a freaking Raspberry Pi.
in. So I couldn't really think of too many games because my PlayStation 1 era is a little hazy. I was more of a Nintendo person, although I did have a PlayStation. One game I would want is Gran Turismo for sure. But I don't know. Is Gran Turismo 2 I think is probably better, but doesn't Gran Turismo 2 have a bunch of bugs, like game-breaking bugs or something like that? So I wonder if we'll get any of those. But Dan Reichert actually had a pretty good list, and I copied this. So this, how about this for a list here? Metal Gear Solid. I think that'd be great, right? I wonder if Konami would allow that for at a good price. Twisted Metal 2. All right, sure, why not? Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, these are just gimmies right here.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, I totally forgot. I mean, you forget how many great games were on the on the PlayStation. Crash Bandicoot, sure, of course. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. He's got the first one and two. Two's probably I don't know. I don't know. I played 2 on my Game Boy. So. Tekken 3, obviously. Parappa the Rapper, sure. Resident Evil 1 and 2. I think the first Resident Evil is pretty rough. If you go back, really, really rough.
Well, that and they're already you can get any kind of Resident Evil anywhere all the time.
Yeah, those especially the ones
They're
with
early
the better
games.
controls and stuff. So,
Well,
Silent Hill.
and the remastered ones. Well, yeah, okay, yeah, Silent Hill makes sense.
Silent Hill, yeah. Final Fantasy Tactics, yes. These are huge games, by the way. I mean, that's like a 100-hour game. Final Fantasy Tactics, Jumping Flash, all right, bullshit. Bushido Blade. I played a lot of that. That was like a one-kill fighting game. I don't think it's that good. I played a lot, but it's probably not that good if you go back to it. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. I guess that's like a Tetris Street Fighter.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Final Fantasy 7.
But again, you can go play that on pretty much anything. You can play that on your phone, though the phone version sucks.
Yeah.
Not sad
he's
that
got Final
you guys
Fantasy
got
7. Rising Zan, Samurai Gunman. I have no idea what that is. Incredible Crisis. I'm guessing that's a Infinite Crisis game. I have no idea. Oh no, did he? Or maybe Dino Crisis. Did he mean Dino Crisis? I don't know. I had Dino Crisis on there. Die Hard Trilogy. I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that the licensing is never going to happen with that stuff.
Obviously this is his personal wish list. And Overblood, I have no idea what that is. So that's a pretty good list. But yeah, you definitely, man, a lot of franchises got their start on the PlayStation. I think I really forgot a lot of that stuff. So.
All right, well here, you want to hear my wish list?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
It's going to be short because I don't have a ton of, experience with PlayStation, but, I'm going to go Nightmare Creatures, the Parasite Eve games,
yeah, Madonna.
Yeah. And then, the Japanese only LSD Dream Simulator. That was PlayStation 1, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That should be a hard exhibit right there.
It wasn't like, it's not actually like LSD the drug, but it basically is. Was that PS1? Yeah. But, that's a game that I'm always thinking I'm gonna have to buy cause you can get it on the Japanese PlayStation store and play it on PlayStation 3 or 4, but you gotta buy the yen PlayStation codes from Play Asia or whatever, and I always want to jump through all those hoops.
Yeah. Now just thinking about it, I mean, maybe Medal of Honor. I mean, that was a really good first-person game, although the controls are garbage.
That was all the way back in PS1.
Yeah, it started on PS1 as I had that game. It was if you go back, a lot of polygon janky as hell, janky as hell. But the textures are great. The textures were really awesome in that game. So,
Here I got another one. The Alien trilogy, PlayStation game. Though that one, I'm pretty sure you need the DualShock for, because I think that was like one of the first, or maybe that was Alien Resurrection. I don't know. One of the Alien games was like an early twin stick first person shooter. But yeah, go for that one. That's good.
All right, so yeah, Frank, you didn't have I think this is geared towards, first of all, a lot of kids whose first kind of video game system was the PS2 and never played any of these games, and then I think people like you who probably didn't have a PlayStation back in the day. So I mean, are you $99?
No, I think it. No, hell no. Literally the only one of these classic consoles that I will possibly ever give a crap about would be the N64 Classic. Cause that's one of the consoles that I had as a kid and do not still have. Yeah. So I could use that nostalgia fix, but otherwise, I got nothing.
Yeah. All right, well there you go. I mean, I think it's a good move. I mean, they're gonna move a bunch of those for sure. So this is for the PlayStation.
Or we'll finally see like what the limit is of the classic console.
Yeah. I can see a PS2 classic. I can see that coming out. That would be like 100. And that, that's another thing. I mean, this thing's $99. I mean, a PS4 will be 200 at Christmas this year, right? So you're asking people to spend half a PS4 for a fucking 20-year-old game?
It's the miniature plastic version of the thing that is the premium, and I'm sure that's not even I'm sure that doesn't drive up the cost much at all, but yeah, that's what you're paying for.
Yep. All right. Okay. All right. And then other pretty big news. So looks like Sony is trying to really compete with Xbox, with Microsoft and their Game Pass, because they announced PS Now. You're going to be able to download most games onto your hard drive, so you don't need an always connection, and then you don't have to worry about this lag bullshit, which was a streaming service. So pretty cool deal. Not all games. And it's not. I mean, this does not have first-party games like Game Pass does. I mean, it has some, but they're old and shit, So, but yeah, I mean, that's the way it should be, right? I mean, we're not in the time where you can just stream games yet, for the most part.
Yeah, but if you can download them, isn't this just like PlayStation Plus 2?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, right, basically. And then, so it just kind of started, and I guess there's only a couple games right now, like God of War 3, that you can, do it with, and it's basically the PS Plus games for this month you can download right now. And then they're going to add them over time, so. I don't know, $99 for a year of PS Now, I mean, if you're someone that doesn't want to spend $60 on games and just want to play a bunch of stuff, I mean, I can see how this is kind of good, but I mean, I would never play all this stuff, so. I wouldn't want to either, so. All right.
Well, and does it go away? Is there you have this game for this month and that game for the next month? Or is it
I believe
PlayStation Plus where they accumulate on you?
I mean, I'm sure third-party stuff goes away sometimes, but I think everything pretty much stays the same, so. And then obviously if you cancel your account, I'm sure you can't play the game. And what not. All right. Let's move on. All right, Frank, you bought Spider-Man.
I did buy Spider-Man.
Within the first 3 days, actually the negative first 3 days. You and a lot of other people, because Sony announced that they sold 3.3 million units within 3 days.
I actually read that is not including the console bundles.
Oh, yeah?
So I'm not even counted in that number.
Whoa. Wow, amazing. So this has replaced God of War as the number one Sony first-person selling game, which I believe probably surpassed Uncharted 4, which probably surpassed Last of Us. But Yeah, so a lot of money. That's why these game companies spend hundreds of millions of dollars on these games because you sell a bunch of copies,
Yeah.
and for $60 a pop,
We
and then
finally figured out the formula.
yeah,
You have to take a recognized property, you have to actually make a really good game, and then you have to market it to Kingdom Come and back.
shocking, right?
All of which cost $500 million.
Frank, you should start a marketing school.
Yeah.
Sales school. Yeah, so that's cool. Everyone shits on these big companies making these big ass games, but I mean, we all like these big blockbuster games. So let's, and making these big ass, it's tough. It's tough making these games, obviously, right? Okay, so we'll talk about Spider-Man later in the show. All right, and speaking of, we're gonna stick with Sony for a minute here. The Korean Ratings Board revealed a rating for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds in Korea. So this game, very popular PC. It's been only on Xbox for consoles, and it looked like Microsoft might even be purchasing Bluehole, but it looks like they missed that.
I'll never not laugh at that, man.
I think they probably should have sold when they had the chance, because I don't think Bluehole is worth quite as much after Black Ops.
Yeah, it's not. If they were hoping for the next Minecraft, yeah.
But anyways, so including myself, PlayStation fans have been, or at least console owners, have been begging for this game to come out on the PS4, and it looks like that very well may happen soon. I have this actually on Steam on my shitty iMac, so I don't play it too much. I would readily buy this again for my PS4. So take my money, release the game. So if this comes out for in the whatever Christmas season, that'd be great. I would love to see how it runs on the Pro as well. So, all right, there we go.
Rock and roll.
Yeah. All right. So then I know you're excited, Frank. I know you're excited. All right. And I wonder, if it does come out, I wonder how it would compete with the Black Ops game. Probably would get destroyed by Call of Duty. All right, so we're gonna go over the Nintendo Direct, and there's a lot of stuff here, so we'll just kind of go through this quickly. First of all, Luigi Mansion 3 for the Switch.
He's got to get his soul back from the devil or death.
His Luigi soul is in purgatory, so hopefully we can find him. The 3DS remake is gonna have a 2-player mode, so that's cool. That's fun. Kirby's Epic Yarn is going to be on the 3DS. Kirby's Epic Yarn was a Wii game, and I had the game service GameFly, where you would basically you'd pay like $20 a month, and you could rent as many games as you want. It was like basically Netflix for video games. So I rented this game, and I put it in my Wii, and it required like a system update or something like that, and the system update was on the disc, for people who don't have the internet, and they just put this stuff on the disc so that people's systems get updated and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, it updated my system, and it crashed my Wii. Like, it killed my Wii. It red-ringed my Wii, so I had to send it to Nintendo, and I lost all my saves and all that stuff. So this fucking game, I did not want to play this game again after that destroyed my Wii, so... That's the story of Kirby's Epic Yarn.
Please continue saying destroyed my Wii. It's not hilarious at all.
Yeah, well, not a whole lot of things can destroy my Wii, get me upset, but this thing. All right, but on the 3DS, I don't know, I might get it. Who knows? We'll see. All right, and then they show some new stuff for Splatoon 2. They're redoing the ranking system, which is cool. And then they're showing, I don't know, something about like 100 times battle, but maybe those like 100 times points. But maybe there was like a PUBG Battle Royale mode. It was like 50 on 50. So I'm not sure. I could be totally wrong with this, but I saw something like 100 times. So I don't know.
They're going to have a hard time coming up with 100 different colors.
I guess, yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it'll probably be 50 on 50, I would imagine, like in one giant.
And then imagine the computer trying to calculate. Yeah. Like, all right, which player has the most surface area covered out of all these 100 color splashes?
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna. I think it was like 100 times points. Okay, whatever. All right, and then here's something that was kind of fun. Capcom is releasing a Final Fight, basically side scroller beat 'em up fight pack of all these 16-bit games that they released, and a lot of these are arcade games as well. I have the list here if I can find it. Can I find it?
Mm.
No, I cannot find it. But it's basically stuff like Final Fight and all this other stuff. A lot of games I don't recognize, but not, Frank, and I'm sure you're going to say the same thing, does not have Aliens versus Predator. The arcade game.
Oh, well, again, the licensing.
What's the point?
Because,
yeah, exactly. So I'm sure it's licensing.
well, and I don't think anybody can bring back Alien versus Predator because, like, you have this is what really kills things like this is when you get into the three-way, like, rights holding issue where, you know, Capcom has the rights to this game because they made it, but, like, Activision has the rights to make, you know, Alien versus Predator games currently. And then, obviously, Fox has the rights to the property itself. So you would have to get Capcom and Activision to agree on something with Fox to release this game, and that's just not going to happen. But, again, you know, Raspberry Pi, I'm not advocating piracy.
Yeah, I think this game was like 50 cents at the arcade. So I may play this game like once or twice, but this game was too rich for my blood. Aliens vs. Predator.
It is literally the best of the genre of the, you know, quarter muncher beat 'em ups. Because it had, like, really in-depth, like, you know, most of these games, like, you walk to the right, you punch things, and then it's, like, almost impossible not to take damage, so eventually you just, you know, get hurt and die. But, like, this game had, like, you had your ranged weapon, and then you had power-ups, so, like, you use it unlimited, and your weapon that got knocked out of your hand, you have to go get it, and then you'd, like, especially ironically, for a game that had two Predators, a cyborg version of Arnold Schwarzenegger as playable characters, the best character was the Ninja Lady, because she could, like, jump off of enemies and do all kinds of crazy moves. Had a shockingly big moveset for a beat 'em up game. But sorry, you got me started about talking about Alien vs. Predator. I'll never stop. So
go all night. Start your own podcast. Yeah. You've played it though many times, like
yeah, I played it in the arcades, and then on my MAME cabinet.
Awesome.
I've got it.
You can play 2-player on that on your cabinet.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a lot of fun. I would definitely be down for that. All right. Anyway, so you can play 4-player, couch co-op, or online play. So there you go. So that's fun.
I hear the online on these is not great. So yeah, I wouldn't get your hopes up for online play. I'd stick to couch co-op.
Yeah, and this is not just Switch; it is all systems, right? So
yeah, because the last thing they did with the last Capcom whatever, classic bundle
not had this, but Mega Man, right?
No, there was something else with multiplayer.
San Francisco or Street Fighter. What am I saying? Street Fighter.
Yeah,
maybe?
I don't know, but they have really screwed it up repeatedly for some reason.
Oh. All right, and I don't know, Frank. Are you? Well, I mean, you got the best one. That's not even on this. So, I mean, are you a buyer on this at all?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
I've kind of, when I got the main cabinet like years ago, I kind of I got my fill of beat 'em ups already. Like, I really liked them as a kid in the arcades, but the limits of the genre really show. And if I want to play one, I'll play a more contemporary one that has better gameplay, like actually, if you for some reason ever have the chance, which is probably not, the Scott Pilgrim game on PS3 is a really good modern beat 'em up. But it's totally delisted. So if you don't already have it, you're not going to play it.
Right, sure. All right. And then, none of those games have good gameplay. I think those are mainly just kind of showing off.
It was
systems.
Streets of Rage. It wasn't Capcom. It was Streets of Rage.
Yeah, I get
They
that
had a
game.
collection too, and they totally and that's like the best one you could get on a console for beat 'em ups. But yeah, apparently they fucked up the net code.
Yeah, and 4 is coming out, right? Or is 3 coming out? I'm not sure which one, but that's a new one.
Oh.
But, yeah, but those are mostly showcases for like 16-bit systems and arcades back in the day, more than like great gameplay. But all right, new Super Mario Brothers for the Wii U and the Luigi one for the Wii U are getting combined and coming out for the Switch.
Oh, okay. I was like, what, we're still making Wii U games here? What?
No. Yeah, so they released the 2D platformers for the Wii U, and a lot of people didn't buy them, obviously. So they're gonna re-release them. I'm not a big fan of this new Mario look and all that stuff, so I'm not gonna be getting that. But $60, for God's sakes. All right, 164 levels. I mean, you're getting a lot of content, I guess, right? All right, Katamari Damacy? Well, I don't know what this.
Just say Katamari. No, we know what you're talking
about. It's coming out for the Switch,
Mm.
and it's going to have multiplayer.
Mm.
So, there you go.
Please come out for other things.
Is that your killer app, Frank?
I like Katamari. I enjoy some Katamari. I have Katamari on the Xbox, and I think I have the PS2 Katamari emulated on PS3. So I've played me some Katamari in my day.
So you're good, huh?
Roll that ball.
All right, and then so we saw 10 of the NES titles for the Nintendo Online service. They released the other ones, and let me just go through this really quick. Soccer, the Nintendo soccer game, Super Mario Brothers, Legend of Zelda, Ghosts and Goblins. By the way, which I played, and I was actually kind of surprised how good that version is. You think with the NES version, I mean, yeah, it's an NES game, but still runs pretty well, actually. Excite Bike, Tennis, Balloon Fight, Super Mario Bros. 3, Tecmo Bowl, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, Ice Climber, not Climbers, Climber. I didn't even know there was 2 of them until someone pointed this out. 2 games, not 2 Ice Climbers. Double Dragon, Gradius, which is like a shoot 'em up, shmup. Ice Hockey, Mario Brothers, Dr. Mario, River City Ransom, Pro Wrestling, which is pretty cool actually. Like the game is probably very bad, but the fact that was a classic, right? Everyone wanted Pro Wrestling for the NES. It was like the only good wrestling game. And then baseball. So not a great list. I mean, there's a couple stinkers in here for sure. I mean, Legend of Zelda and Super Mario Bros. 3, obviously probably the best games on there. Tecmo Bowl, I guess. You can play them online. That's cool. That's a pretty cool thing. I was hankering for some Super Mario Bros. 2. So I would like to see that on there, but I think they deliberately held that back. So we'll get that later. So yeah, what they're going to do is they're going to release 3 new games on there every month. And you need to, if you go offline and you have them, you play them in your game, you have to go online within 7 days, or you're not. So it basically checks in to make sure you still have your Nintendo account attached to it, and all this stuff. And people are bitching it, but it's not that bad. I mean, whatever. It's not draconian at all. It's just they just want to make sure no one's stealing their shit. I mean, is that so hard to understand? All right, and then they also announced, we'll be moving right along. We don't need to get in the weeds here. Also going to have NES controllers that are Bluetooth that connect to your Switch, and they actually charge on the Switch as well. So if you want to play those NES games, which you can only play the NES controllers with, you can have a NES controller. You get 2 of them, Frank, for $60.
Yeah, and don't you have to be like a member or something to get them too?
And you have to be a Nintendo Switch Online member.
How many different versions of the NES controller have there been over the years?
I don't. Well,
we love this uncomfortable square or rectangular controller.
Well, I will say I was playing Mario Brothers on my Switch controller, and those button layouts, you forget that the button A, B, and A were like next to each other. And then when you like try to play a game like that, and it's like kind of sideways, and you're trying to like slide your thumb over after doing a power, like it definitely, you can feel a difference. So But yeah, this whole thing about being $60 and only limited to Switch on, I think that's the control demand. I think that's what it is, because I think for those NES controllers when the NES Classic was out, I mean, it was impossible to find those. So I think they're just kind of cutting out the demand right away so that they don't.
Just don't get your hopes up, guys.
Yeah,
We don't like making things out of plastic.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll go down later. Well, I'm
About
sure they'll be like $20 in a couple of years. Why not? All right. City Skylines. Did we talk about this? But City Skylines is available now on the Switch for $40. So I did not buy that, but you can. A person can. Okay, and then they had a section about board games with local multiplayer. So this actually was pretty interesting, considering how the Switch is like a flat system and all that stuff. And yeah, I didn't really recognize any of these games because I'm totally oblivious to the board game world. I mean, I did see Catan, so there's a Catan on there. But this is really cool, kind of a cool thing. I mean, if they can get like board games on here and games that are pretty easy to play, where you don't need like a big ass book to understand them. But the nice thing about a video game, though, it kind of tells you what the rules are, right? And kind of runs everything for you. So yeah, I mean, this is like, I think it was pretty cool and very intriguing. So
I don't know. It's odd to me that it's local multiplayer because. Just play the real board game if you're already in the same house. And then also, there's gonna be some issues with, looking at the other guy's shit. That's, yeah, like what the heck was I playing? There's some board game I played, like on, a tablet or something before. I don't remember what, but it literally had like the screen like goes gray and you have to hand it to the next person. But if you just tap it quick, like, oops, I accidentally touched it. Now I see exactly what your cards are.
And you cover your, sorry, even though you're like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but, I guess just, you don't have to carry like 5 boxes around with you to your friend's house, I guess. And also have the game running for you, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So. All right, and then there's a bunch of Final Fantasy games coming out, including 7. And I don't know anything about these games, so like the order or anything, but like 8, and I mean one of them is not coming out. Maybe 9's not coming out, or maybe 8. I don't know, but a bunch of Final Fantasy games coming out, including the that Game Boy one, Final Fantasy Chronicles, which it was a GameCube, but you could play it with your Game Boy Advance, I believe, right, with the System Connect, if I recall.
No.
Frank is shrugging right now for the audio listeners, but and then here's a kind of another interesting development. We talked about how you play Resident Evil 7 streaming to your Switch last year in Japan only. Well, Assassin's Creed Odyssey will be joining it. So Ubisoft is bringing their big blockbuster game, and if you're in Japan, you can stream it. And I guess the latency is not bad at all. So.
I wonder what they're playing it on.
Yeah.
They're just translating your button inputs, so it could be it's on anything.
Yeah. Well, you know how we're talking about that streaming feature of ours? It's right around the corner. These are just tests. These people are doing these small tests in these small territories, seeing how it works, seeing how the quality is, and seeing, by the way, what people are going to bite on as well. I mean, people, for the people, I think they're testing out the pricing too, because you got people that are not going to buy a $60 game, but will they rent it for $20? And then what happens when you release DLC? Are they going to rent it again for, I don't know, $5, $10? So there's a lot of interesting things you can do with this technology. So, and then also it helps, like a little tiny puny system like the Switch compete, with the big boys. So. Yeah, and then I wonder what you're saying. I wonder what the settings are. Are they ultra settings?
Yeah, because that'd be interesting if it actually had better graphics because it was on some Bitcoin farm on 10 million GPUs.
Here you go, Frank. $20 for the medium version, $25 for the ultra settings. How do you like that?
You just got to pay the server farm to rent. You pay a $15 upfront fee, and then you just have to pay the server man.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wonder what Google server farms could do. What they could render. All right, there you go. And that was pretty. I thought it was actually a really strong direct. Nintendo has a lot of good stuff in the pipeline, so they're really firing at all full throttle. And then so yeah, they released the Nintendo Online service, I believe, on the 18th, which was what, Tuesday. So I mean, there's nothing really much to it except you can play online. It's $20, and I'll talk about those NES. I mean, does anyone want to hear my opinions on NES games? I mean, I don't think so. Who cares?
Could you not what was the story before the 18th for online games? Could you just not play online up
No,
until then?
it was free. It was basically free. So Splatoon, Mario Kart, I mean, ARMS and all this stuff. However, Fortnite is going to be free, so you don't need a service for that. And then
Well, generally they don't. The free to play games for some reason are generally exempt from things.
Warframe is going to be exempt as well. So
Yeah, because free to play.
yeah, the only thing I'd say about the NES games, it's cool because you can play the pixel perfect versions. And again, if you play like off the Switch screen handheld mode, it looks really really good actually. But yeah, I mean, I played a couple for like 3 minutes. I was like, okay, it works, and then turn it on. 'Cause, you
I'm
play
done with it now.
Yeah, you play Mario Brothers 3, and you still have these super annoying. And as I get older now, it's so annoying seeing those weird colors on the edges, and it makes me feel ill. So
They should put in save states since they're basically emulators anyway.
yeah, they are. They're actually each game has like 4. You can save it at any time, basically.
Nice.
So
good for them.
Yep, and then the cloud saves, but I've not taken advantage of that. So yeah. Oh, and then another cool thing also is that if you sign up for a Japanese account, you can download the Famicom because it's an app, right, that you go into and then has all the games on the wallpaper and you just pick them. You can download the Famicom app, the Japanese version, and then it has all the Japanese art, which of course is better all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it even has like the Japanese version of Legend of Zelda, which I guess, I mean, people say it's better music, but I don't think it's better music from what I've heard. So I don't know what people are talking about.
It's pretty subjective when you're talking about 8-bit chip tunes.
8-bit music. All right, and then Capcom. All right, so that's the Nintendo stuff. So again, overall, pretty good Nintendo Direct. All right, and then sad news from Capcom. They're closing down the studio in Vancouver that was responsible for the more recent Dead Rising games. I guess they didn't do the first one, right? But they did the subsequent.
They started out doing baseball games, and then
they did Big League, I think, right, for the Wii. I think.
Is that a Capcom game, or did Capcom?
No, I don't think they published it. I don't think so.
Okay, so they must have been independent. Then Capcom bought them, put them on Dead Rising duty. And then this is very sad. Very sad. No one likes losing their jobs.
So what happened? Did the franchise just not innovate? I mean, was each game kind of the same one, pretty much?
No, actually, like the 4 was savaged for being so different.
Oh yeah.
From the others. So like, they had kind of the formula, and then. I never played 3 because it was Xbox exclusive, which was a weird choice anyway. And I don't know, the franchise. Like I enjoyed the second game, and then they would just kept pumping out the like sidequels for a while, like where there's the entire they re-released the entire second game. Only you're playing as the protagonist from the first game, and like things have been remixed. It's like an entire other game. Like, this is bizarre. But I don't know, but Dead Rising 1 is by far the best of the franchise. And also, these are the guys responsible for Puzzle Fighter iOS, which I have some issues with. So, I guess I'm not that sad to see him go,
Did they come up with that idea, or did they just, were they...
No, I'm sure they were just doing their,
Okay, I was gonna say, these guys don't need Capcom then if they got Puzzle Fighter, but Capcom hired for them.
Well, yeah, no, they were just the people who were put in charge of the mobile version of Puzzle Fighter, which is just a horrible free to play loot box disaster. Like it's the poster child, in my opinion, for like having the core gameplay of a game hollowed out by the need for microtransactions and leveling up and daily bonuses and things like so. But I can always just go play old school Puzzle Fighter at any time. So what am I playing? I just wish I could play old school Puzzle Fighter while I was taking a dump.
All right. Well, Frank, you've changed my mind. Go to hell, developer. Enjoy your
No,
time.
we're very sad about you losing your jobs. That sucks.
Make a better game. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess this didn't come out of the blue because they fired like 30% of them back in February. So,
sad.
So I don't know. We had some. I think Capcom is retreating back to Japan because with their recent success with the Resident Evil 7, and then people are pretty hyped about the Resident Evil 2 remake, which actually does look pretty sweet. So I think they're going back to basics.
Yeah. All right, Frank. Do you have any news for us for this week?
No.
All right, nice. Short and sweet. I like it. All right, so what we are going to do here is take a quick break, and when we return, we will talk about the games we've been playing. All right, you need to do anything? I'm pretty much good.
I gotta pee quick, sorry.
All right, no problem.
Fix this beer. For online games, could you just not play online up until then?
It was free. It was basically free. So Splatoon, Mario Kart.
Generally they don't. The free to play game. I gotta pee quick, sorry. Fix this beer.
All right, check. Turn on Skype. Check. Check.
All right, I'm back.
Check. All right.
Now I'm drinking a Western Standard.
Oh, nice. Do you want the link to the YouTube, by the way?
Oh, I just searched it actually.
Oh, you found it? All right.
To check while we were talking.
No one. No comments, huh?
No, it doesn't. No one. When I checked, no one was looking live. So
Yeah. All right, check. Okay. I was a little soft on that, so you remember to boost my audio.
Oh, now it's just one watching. Somebody's watching. Hello.
Well, I think that was me, actually. So, yeah. All right. So let me just. All right, check. Okay. Check. All right. Sorry, I just want to make sure it's just this. All right. Okay. All right, we're back, and we're going to talk about the games we've been playing. And why don't I go first? Well, actually, Frank, why don't you go first? Go ahead. What you got for us?
All right. I have 3 things to talk about. Spider-Man. I beat it. It's still pretty good. Actually, ended up getting 90-something% completion at the end. So I'm like, do I actually want to go back through and hunt down all the secret photo opportunities to get that sweet, sweet platinum trophy? And then also, I think I have to do a couple of Taskmaster challenges over again because the awful spy cam race missions were just like impossible to. I got a couple of gold medals on those, um, yeah, didn't bother with most of them because you have to be like you basically just have to do those things perfect because they're races, but you can't get to the finish line ahead of time because you're chasing after a drone that leaves behind cameras that you have to catch. So basically, it's like a Pilot Wings thing where you've got a thing that you need to follow that leaves like big orbs that you have to fly through. So there's very little margin for error because you have to basically get all of them and then be on the thing's ass the whole time in order to reach the finish line. Because like just even being a second behind loses you a ton of points. Anyway, it's kind of obnoxious, but it's a good way to get really really good at the swinging mechanics. It's a high skill ceiling.
So how many hours did it take?
I don't know. 20 maybe? It wasn't that. I mean, a fair amount, but not. This is a pretty reasonably sized and paced open world game. So, like, I think the platinum's going to have a much higher percentage than most. And there's also a few things that, thank God, don't actually like count towards the platinum. So I think you get the. I don't know if they count towards completion too, but like finding all of the newspapers. Like you just have to find every like Daily Bugle, like newspaper stand in the city and read the headlines. And like I'm not doing that.
That reminds me of the Metroid Prime scan everything.
Oh, that was the worst because there was like two things at the beginning that you could miss, and then I never did 100% that.
Yeah.
Like, haunts me to this day.
I think
I'm not 100%er anymore. But yeah, the end game was pretty fun. It does get like the game gets really speedy towards the end. Like I guess I kind of see what people were saying in that it's like boss heavy at the beginning and boss heavy at the end. But it does. I mean, because basically the story is like the Sinister Six get broken out of prison, and then. So you're going around. So like the narrative has a lot of urgency to it. Like, Scorpion and Rhino are out there both, and like there's even like parts where you like, there's crime, like major supervillain crimes going on in two places. Where are you going to go to first? And it's like, well, there doesn't seem to be a timer going, so in theory you can just take as long as you want. But the game, the story really propels you through at that point. So I kind of finished it up. I won't spoil the secret villain, except to say that if you haven't figured it out by the beginning of Act 3, you're a dumbass.
Is it poisonous, Frank?
No.
Oh, it's not venom?
No.
Oh.
They're either saving that for the other game or just going to completely ignore, because you don't even get like, for a game that has all the collectible Spider-Man suits, like there is not a black suit. The symbiote.
That's too bad.
Symbiote.
Symbiotic. Other than Joker, probably the most iconic comic book villain, the Joker, obviously, but I think Venom probably right up there next, right? You'd say, pretty good villain.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty late. Like he's 90s. Like, Spider-Man had a lot of
or 80s. Cause I don't know. I don't know.
No,
Marvel.
I think it was maybe late 80s. But
yeah, I don't know Marvel. I'm a DC guy.
But we're they're going for Mr. Negative is a circa 2008 villain, so we are pretty recent.
I don't know what that is.
And that's. I'm pretty sure that Mr. Negative is going to be in one of the next movies. Because I'm like, this is a really Mr. Negative heavy game, and like I have never heard of him before this game because I'm not a big comic reader.
They went all out and coming up with that name, huh? Well, what should we name this guy? Well, he's negative a lot, and he's a gentleman. Mr. Negative, why not? Let's go home. Let's get lunch.
Well, he looks like when he has this power going, he looks like a photo negative.
Oh, is it? It deals with echochrome then? Okay, all right. All right, people aren't going to know what that is. These kids these days, they don't know what a negative photo negative is. It's a filter you put on your
But he also has
Instagram.
like negative energy and like a whole like yin yang, the black and white like theme going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, the game it's quite a bit easier at the end when you've got all your powers, but still pretty fun. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I guess I kind of see where some of the bad reviews are coming from, in that Spider-Man's helping the police state, and the game really isn't changing the formula at all. But I guess I don't understand the intensity of some of the negative reviews, where people are like, this game it didn't change the formula, it's trash. And like, those people should be happy that there's like a really like, because this means that like this open world genre as it exists is reaching its final form, because people are going to start being disappointed in like the next like total Ubisoft game that is not nearly as good as Spider-Man. And they're like, it's good, like, or the next Far Cry or whatever. They're like, well, I'm climbing towers and it's open world and it's got all that, but it's just not as good as Spider-Man.
No.
So that hopefully means that the genre is moving on into a like the late period westerns, where everything had to be about subverting the genre tropes, or rebelling against them, or parodying them rather than just simply embracing or aping them. But
yeah. So this is I don't seem to finish a lot of AAA games anymore unless they're like Nintendo games. I mean, are you in the same boat, Frank, or is this kind of rare for you to finish a game like this?
No, I'm still kind of obsessive about finishing games, provided I like them.
Yeah.
Like I'm finally reaching the point where I will like finally like say, like, this game isn't all that fun, and put it down. But no, generally if I am enjoying a game, I'll see it to the end, even if, well, I guess the other way I've changed as an older person is that I'll not go for that 100%. I'm finally getting to the point where I'm like, I don't even really care about this side mission.
You'll pace yourself a
Yeah.
little bit better. All right, I'll tell you what. Let me jump.
Spider-Man has side missions, so I wouldn't skip all those.
All right, so what would you do? You have a rating? Would you give it a rating?
Oh, I'd definitely give it a 9.
Yep. All right, cool. All right, are you gonna go back? Do you think?
Yeah, at some point. Like, it looks like I have at least from the version of the game that I got, it looks like I have at least the first of the DLCs included. So I'll probably be popping back in to see that one. Mop up the last few things for my platinum trophy or whatever.
So you got like you got part of like the season pass, then part of the package then, or no?
Yeah, well, it was like the day one, the pre-order bonuses or whatever.
Oh.
And it appears to include like one chapter of the 3 DLCs or something.
Cool. All right, well there you go, Spider-Man. All right. Let me just jump in really quick just to mix and match here a little bit. I played a little bit more of Axiom Verge, and if you just want to avoid spoilers, just go like forward 3 minutes. And it's not like there's any story spoilers. By the way, I don't know what's going on the story at all. Like, I don't know why they even put. I mean, Metroid didn't have a story. You know what I mean? Like, can we just be a guy trying to get out? And why do we need all this text and all this stuff? So. But there's
if you paid attention, then you know what the story was.
Yeah, I guess. But by the way, I do love those giant women or these heads that are like these machine.
Yeah, they're like AIs or something.
Yeah, I love the aesthetic. It's like this H.R. Geiger and something about that NES kind of 4-color kind of.
Well, they
style.
love like the like 8 and 16-bit eras, especially if you play like random arcade games on a MAME cabinet. I don't know anybody who does that, but like H.R. Giger was a huge influence. Like, so many like games that you would totally not expect. Like, oh, it's a game where you're a ninja and you're running around and you're like, you're fighting samurais, and like, oh, this one you're cops in a near future environment and all that. And like, there would always be like that. And now you're in the H.R. Giger cave with weird like bony protrusions.
Aliens. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So it always just ended up being aliens in the end. So
Yeah, it's just when I see that, it reminds me. It's like like an NES game in a dream that I never got to
Mhm.
play. Like I saw an advertisement, I was like, oh, that was awesome. But that's what it
Yeah,
reminds me
like
of.
what you saw in your head looking at the screenshots of like Power Blade or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so and again, the story. Nothing really a spoil for the story. What I think is really the most interesting thing is just getting these power ups, which are just completely different than anything you see on Metroid or anything like that, and just getting surprised like over and over again. Like for example, you were talking about the drone earlier, and I thankfully kind of forgot about it, but I finally got the drone, which is kind of this organic kind of robot kind of thing that you shoot from like an egg, and then it kind of runs around, and it doesn't jump as high as your main character, and it's kind of only got this like electric bolt kind of weapon, but it just and you can like dig, and this is pretty much like the ball version of you in Metroid, where you can go through these like small passages and stuff like that. So instead of having a bomb, you have this thing that can like drill through walls and things like that. And I thought you could like, I thought you move on to the next screen or whatever, it blows up, but no, you can go through the whole game with this thing, if it allows you to. And I bet people can actually like hack with this thing and actually like figure out how to speed run with this thing and just like totally beat the game with it. So, but I'm not that quite advanced with it. So that was a really awesome. I love the drone thing. I recently just got the upgrade where it shoots further. So now I'm like doing these crazy jumps and like shooting it up in the air and all that stuff. And yeah, it's really, really, really cool power up. And it has life like that too. So you can go as far as you can as you want, but you gotta still face these enemies, and you still it's a whole new kind of strategy of fighting against the enemies as opposed to your main character. And then today, maybe it was not today, but maybe it was yesterday. I got the grappling hook, and again, I think I heard about this earlier, hearing someone talk about this, but I completely forgot. And all of a sudden, you go from Metroid, and all of a sudden I'm playing Bionic Commando. And I actually never really played Bionic. I mean, I'm sure we rented it, and maybe I played it once or twice, but I never really played it. I mean, Frank, did you? How is it compare fairly? Is it pretty much the exact same mechanic where if you kind of like swing, it kind of does the jump for you? Is that what Bionic Commando did? I recall.
I don't.
You remember?
It's
I don't
been a
know.
long time. I've played more like Bionic Commando Rearmed.
Yeah.
um, well, I just remember the first Bionic Commando was very kind of binary. Like you just kind of like you had to be in the exact right position. You shoot it up at a 45-degree angle, and then you kind of like swing over.
Yeah.
So and it's been a while since I played Axiom Verge, but I'm assuming it's significantly more advanced and user friendly in
Yeah, for
Axiom
sure.
Verge.
More polished and refined and everything like that. Yeah. So, and then they
Metroid did have a grappling hook, though. You had your the grapple beam in
in
Super
Metroid,
Metroid.
yeah, but this does. I mean, but you need those special blocks though in Metroid, and I don't
Yeah,
think.
yeah, it was like really specific areas.
Yeah, and it doesn't go nearly as far as it does in this game. And the guy who did this game, he's really good at putting you in these areas where you really kind of have to almost master the technique. Like I got the grappling hook, and there was quite a lot of stuff I had to use it on to like get kind of out of the area. So kudos to them giving you a power and then just really making you kind of learn it and master it. So
Mhm.
cool
Yeah, it's
stuff.
definitely more advanced than like as good as Metroid is. Like, there's a lot of like this power up is basically just a key. Like,
Yeah.
like the grapple beam could basically, for all intents and purposes, be replaced with a door that needs a special beam to
Well,
open.
or a power bomb. Like, well, what the It's a bomb, but it's more powerful. Oh, great. You get 15 of them? Okay. Or a green missile? I mean, yeah. Right? Dumb stuff. Yeah, and then, so I got the grappling hook, I got the drone, and I'm like swinging around, shooting the drone, drilling through stuff, and doing I was like, oh my god, this game is like pretty amazing. Like, so many, I feel like so powerful now that I can like pretty much get to any room, and I got all these abilities. I can pretty much figure out how to like get through it or get around it or find all these secrets. So, I'm just, again, I'm having a blast with this game. And I mean, this is better than any Metroid game since Super Metroid. I think pretty much hands down. I mean, even though I haven't played them, I really don't see. I don't see that Symphony of the Night. I mean, it's not better than this, right? No way.
I like Symphony of the Night, but like a lot of the newer Metroid games, like more action oriented than actually like the Metroidvania
Yeah, puzzle
style.
ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would also say it would be nice to have like a warp to like go to the different stages because there is nothing like that, and you do kind of have to go through the. But it's still kind of a nice thing though. I like that you have to walk through everything, you know. So I think if you did have a warp zone, it would kind of defeat the nice of the game. Is that the right phrase? The
Yeah. Or, maybe like way at the end, like Dark Souls, like by the end of the game, we'll give you a fast travel.
Oh, does it? Okay, well, don't spoil it
Well,
for me.
I don't think so. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
remember.
And
But,
also, what else was I gonna say? Blah blah blah. I don't know. I don't remember. So, oh yeah, yeah. And also, like the map is really good because it's the traditional Super Metroid map, but it doesn't like have a. It's like on graph paper on it's red or blue or whatever it is. But then it doesn't have the outline of the room if there's like a secret or if you haven't like found everything to it. And so like it's this really kind of good puzzle hint system telling you, hey, there's something here, go back
mm,
here, and all that stuff. So you get a power up, and you're like, okay, which rooms have I not like put the outline around yet? And you go to them, and obviously you solve the puzzles and all that stuff.
that's a nice quality of life
Yeah.
design
So
right
I think
there.
Metroid had that too, but I could be wrong about that. The Super Metroid, but okay. So Axiom Verge. I mean, I'll stop talking about it. But okay, Frank, what else? What else have you got for this week?
Well, yeah. So after Spider-Man, I'm like, I got this PlayStation Pro now, and I have a AAA game shaped hole in my life now.
Mm.
So I fired up. I'd actually bought it a while ago when it was super cheap and hadn't touched it yet. So I fired up Horizon Zero Dawn.
Nice.
And yeah, it's
So from
maybe
one
I
open world
shouldn't.
to the other one, huh?
Yeah, well, maybe I shouldn't have just gone right to it because like having just played Spider-Man, like which is a game that will mainly be known for the traversal and just the sheer polish. It's a little weird, going to a game that has these very, very beautiful, like graphics, like there's like, and it's got, Spider-Man doesn't have a live day-night cycle. It's story driven. And then after you beat the game, you can just select the time. But, so like, this has kind of a more real-time thing, so you actually see the sunset, and it's all pink and beautiful, and it just looks amazing. But then the cutscenes happen, and oh my god, the cutscenes are awful in this game. Like, for one thing, every edit is ruined by technical things, because, like, there is a split-second delay between the camera cutting to a new angle and like the game world like fully rendering. And I don't know, maybe I need to fiddle around with the settings some more because I can do that now with PlayStation Pro. Maybe I'm on the performance mode versus the high res mode, but still, it's like, yeah, you cut to the next scene, and then for a split second, like the animations aren't loading, and like the color timing, like the color correction filter is still from the old shot. So like, there's this weird hiccup with every edit.
It's like Halo 2 all over again, huh?
Yeah, and it drives me absolutely up the wall, as a video editor. But even worse, the conversations in this game. And maybe they're doing this because they're trying to avoid all the technical hiccups of when they cut from like wildly different angles. But like when two people are just talking, it will do this really obnoxious thing where it breaks the 30 degree rule. So if you're familiar with filmmaking or, editing, the 30 degree rule, not to be confused with the 180 degree rule, which we won't get into now because they don't break that. But the 30 degree rule basically says if you're cutting from one shot of a subject to another shot of that same subject, that your angle should be different by 30 degrees minimum, or it's going to look kind of weird. So basically, like, it's just like if you're cutting between two shots of the same thing, those shots have to be like significantly different from each other, or it's like a weird jump cut. And they don't do that at all. Like they just cut in to close-ups and then back out to medium close-ups, like from the exact same angle, and it absolutely just boils my blood.
It's pretty jarring, unnatural.
Yeah, and it's like you like, and sometimes they'll cut to the other guy, but basically like for some reason they'd like, it reminds me of Oblivion or like, Skyrim. Not so bad where like the person is just standing in the exact middle of the frame staring at you talking. But it feels very staged and video gamey because yeah, it's just a shot reverse of like 3 different angles with no masters or wides, and just, medium close up of 2 subjects and just edited between them just willy nilly. And I'm like, why even edit? Just leave it. If you're gonna, I feel like there's cuts there. Just like, let's zoom in on their, these really amazingly like rendered skin textures. But like the sloppiness of the editing, it hurts my brain. Like the dichotomy of like, you spent so much time like on her pores and making the skin look amazing. And this beautiful environment, like how long did you guys spend sculpting all these trees and the light filtering through them and the god rays and the who's the what's its, and then you just shit all over it with this just awful stagey video game editing.
Well, Frank, the filmmaking laws or rules got destroyed in the apocalypse, so they forgot about that stuff.
Yeah, I would prefer them if they're going to do, rather than this, I would just prefer if they had like a static 2-shot, or if they didn't even have like that, just keep it the medium close up.
Or the radio, like Metal Gear Solid. How about that? The radio thing. But she's got that cell phone earpiece anyways, right? Have her talk through that thing.
Yeah. Well, that's more for visual stuff. Yeah, so yeah. I guess if you guys aren't familiar with the game, the premise is it's the super duper 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 future post-apocalypse, and like the leftover machines that rebelled and destroyed humanity have like evolved into animal-like forms, and people have reverted to living like primitive Bronze Age kind of existences, scrapping technology and whatnot. And the main character is a outcast hunter who gets a Bluetooth earpiece that allows her to have a heads-up display.
Yeah, and that's basically your night vision, right? Your detective vision.
Yeah,
Arkham.
Yeah. Well, and it's also like, I wish games like this would go all out with that. Like, okay, so you've got a diegetic UI now. Like, oh, she's got this thing in her ear, that can show her, the paths that she needs to take. And like, you can use it to see enemies through walls and stuff like that. And it's very useful, very video gamey, but it's like, why even have the like game UI on top of that? Like, just go full Dead Space and have a totally like diegetic UI.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's when your UI should come into the game, right? You put that thing on, all of a sudden you can see how many arrows you got.
But it's like, but we've got like the video game UI and then the in-universe UI like on top of each other. And I mean, from a gameplay standpoint, it's all fine. Game's been fun so far. But yeah, just after playing a game that like I have almost no complaints about, it's like every little thing is driving me up the wall. I'm like, I have to go play some like really, really indie game right now to like, flush my system out. So I did.
Clean the AAA stank off you?
Yeah. So I played the indiest game I possibly could. So I did that last night. So I played September 1999. At least I think that's what it's called. This is the latest game from 98 D-Make, who got his start literally like making D-Makes of modern games. Like, what if this game, came out on the PlayStation in 1998? What would it look like? This is what it would look like. But he also does real games. Like I was talking about the other week, I played one of his games, OK Normal. We talked about on this show. But he had a new game out that takes it's free and it takes 5 minutes. So I was like, oh, I literally have no excuse not to play this. So I did, and it took 5 minutes. The premise of that game is it's a found footage thing. So you're like, you have a VHS camera that you're seeing through the lens of, and you're in like a creepy apartment. And I can't really talk about anything else other because that
Stuff
like
happens.
would
Just
things happen, and that's the entire game.
Just checking out footage of that, he really nailed those VHS effects because the kind of the rolling of the images and the static and all that looks just like a real, for both of us who actually lived with VHS.
Like, the other week when I was talking about Kane and Lynch too, and how the even though it's a PS3 game, and not a huge budget one at that point, like that the faux cell phone camera aesthetic occasionally gives it moments of what is shitty camera photorealism, as I call it. And this is just a master class in that, because we've had plenty of like, oh, it looks like a VHS, or oh, it looks like a camcorder, kind of games out there, especially in the indie horror game world. But yeah, this one is just absolutely spot on, and it's like it's like a 2-room apartment that the whole game takes place in, and so it's relatively simple and geometry wise, but he did a really good job with the lighting and shadows, and it this game barely has any like humans in it. It's mostly just a room and effects. So with those kind of limitations in mind, like, yeah, it really, really looks good,
And
for what it is.
and he got the frame rate and the motion blur pretty good because it looks like a VHS tape, like in a polygonal. I mean, you can tell it's a video game world, but the way it moves, I think, moves really,
Well,
really
and
well.
also, I was playing it on my iMac at, highest resolution, highest, detail. And that ended up also, it didn't ruin the effect. Like a lot of times, I think my favorite like VHS game out there, Anatomy, from a few years back, which is a little more lo-fi, not going for photorealism at all. But that game had an issue where like you had to fiddle with the resolution to like get kind of the best resolution for the VHS look, that you could get on your screen. And this one was just straight, like, because of all the filtering, rather than just having like the rolling bars and some static, like they're going all out. So this guy knows his shaders.
Yeah, I wonder if he did that himself or if he purchased it like online or something.
I follow the guy. I follow him on Twitter, and so I know there was some like Unity stuff in there because he had a little Twitter thread about trying to get better shadows, because like the default Unity shadows or whatever were like having a lot of artifacts, and then someone else pointed him in the direction of like, hey, try this shader plugin or whatever. I don't know how game design works. And then he was like, oh yeah, that worked really well, and was showing kind of before and after screenshots. So
Do you call him a sexist pig too, as well? Stop giving me sexist ideas. No, you've heard of Unreal Engine? He should sell this. He should license this as the VHS engine. So all these people making found footage films, you can make pretty good money.
So this is a severely underused aesthetic in my opinion. Though, if this proves to be popular, we're probably going to be like deluged by it coming up. But,
yeah, go back to Resident Evil 7 and put this in because it looks way better than that, I think.
Though Resident Evil 7 is actually like animating characters and stuff in the game, where this doesn't have that much going on. Like, actually, why? But like I said, it's 5 minutes, and it literally kicks you back to desktop after the 5 minutes are up. So, like, and I'm done with it now. So, definitely check it out. Ran fine on Mac. It's on Linux, all that jazz. So it's free.
All right,
45 minutes of time.
September 1999. What were
Yeah.
you? I was probably working after high school in this stupid kitchen in a hospital in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I was 1 year from graduating in 2000. What were you doing in September 99?
I
Frank,
was still in high school, and
what do you?
I
What would you have been doing in September?
probably probably working at the movie theater.
Yeah.
Like I was a concessions monkey and usher at a mall movie theater in 1999.
So that would have been post Phantom Menace came out earlier in May. That it probably would have been all the theaters. What came out? Probably Matrix, but
Yeah.
that was in the summer. I don't
Um,
know.
well, I definitely wasn't alone in an apartment with possibly a murderer, or maybe I'm the murderer. I
Or golf clubs. You're
don't.
talking about is that a dig, Frank? Oh my, no, I'm just
It
kidding.
is now. No, I was more referring to the game, but
Yeah. Does the date actually kind of correspond to something in the game? Is it like a murder? I don't spoil it, but
not that I know of, but it's mostly like the game has little vignettes, and it's mostly to kind of indicate how much time has passed between all the segments. Because like a couple days go by, and then a couple more days go by, kind of thing.
cool. Cool. All right. So that sounds pretty interesting. Yeah, definitely. Anyone, especially with a interest
And
in
it's
design.
not. I guess minor spoiler here. It's not super jump scare heavy. So, because like yeah, I was actually when I was playing it, I was like, oh god, this game's gonna make me like crap myself because um, I have I have a headphone amplifier on my computer. So I don't have a visual indicator. I don't have the little bar to show me what my volume is at on the thing. So like, and I knew I had it down before, so I turned it up, and then had started the game up and was like, I have no idea how loud this game is going to be or how loud my headphones are. And like, I just based on the ambient noise, like I've got it tuned. And I'm like, oh god, I hope no like super loud jump scare happens.
Mhm.
But it's more of a creepy game than a brah game.
Yeah,
So.
I see that. I'm like, man, what's something gonna jump out of the closet? So, I don't know. All right, cool. All right, well, we're getting a little bit long here, so let's wrap it up. It's been Chris Frank Games, a video game podcast. Yeah, again, check us out on iTunes, as always. Leave us some feedback. But, yeah, go back on YouTube. The recordings are being archived and uploaded, so just if you just Google Chris Frank Games on YouTube, you should find it. And if you want to relive the highlights, go ahead. Joe Rogan has this podcast, and someone like cuts up all the highlights and puts them on YouTube and makes money. I'm sure you can do that with our highlights too, as well with our hot takes. Our hot takes on the Luigi Mansion 3 upcoming. So, yeah, okay. All right. So for Frank White, my name is Chris Stotts. It's been Chris Frank Games. See you guys next week.
See you in 1999.
Yeah, September. Let me finish the show here.